Hello, everyone. Welcome to our live webinar on how to come to Canada and work as a registered nurse. I'll be your host for today with co-host Miss Ma'am Jenica. So my name is Israel Roman. And as I've said, I'll be your host for today. I am your licensed Canadian immigration consultant and at the same time an active registered nurse here in Canada. And we have our offices. We have our main office here in Nanaimo, British Columbia. And we also have our office in the Philippines, President JP Laurel Highway, Lipa City, Batangas. I know you guys are very much excited on the things that you might learn on this live webinar on really how can I come to Canada or how can I go to Canada as a registered nurse. Okay. And if that is your question, you are in the right webinar. You're in the right Zoom meeting. Okay. So immigrate to Canada nursing pathway. So just a few things about our credentials. So as I've said earlier, I am a licensed Canadian immigration consultant, and I'm licensed with the Immigration Consultant of Canada Regulatory Council. Okay, and maybe I can show you. I mean, I'll give you the save you some time. If you go to Immigration Consultant of Canada Regulatory Council, let me just close this one. This is our website for the, let's say for the Philippines, if pretty sure you guys are a registered nurse, you go to PRC, right? So for us, Canadian Immigration Consultant, our professional body is the ICCRC. So if you go to the website and go to public register, you can type in my name. So last name is Roman, first name is Israel. And then if you hit search, you'll see it in here, Israel Roman, and my status is active. And this is my license number, R524540. And when you hit contact, it would show you where I'm from and the company I am associated with, which is which is Roman and Associates Immigration Services. Okay. All right. So let's go back to the PowerPoint. Where did I? Okay. So, and company, Roman and Associates Immigration Services Limited, and this is a immigration firm that is based here, as I've said earlier, in Nanaimo, BC. And of course, earlier, if you wanted to check, am I really a licensed consultant? You went to the ICCRC, which is good, right? You want to make sure that you're really working with a trusted person, right? So now, of course, you want to check as well, is the company Roman and Associates really exists? So I'll again give you some time, save you some time on this one. So this is the Canada's Business Registry's website. So I'll go to British Columbia and type in the name Roman and Associates. And it should show right here. Roman and Associates Immigration Services Limited, and the status is active, and it is a business type. It is a BC company. Okay. All right. Okay. So you've checked that I am a licensed immigration consultant. You have also checked that the company is a legitimate company, right? And as I've said earlier, I am also a practicing RN here in Nanaimo, BC. So if you guys want, you can also search for me in Google. So just go ahead and Israel Roman and Nanaimo. And you'll see it in here. So that's myself right there. So you can check the images. Okay, so yeah, for that one, this one right here is also myself from the Nanaimo Hospital Auxiliary Donation, top 300,000. So that's myself right there on the podium, and just giving a quick thank you speech to the volunteers in Nanaimo. And then this is another picture of myself. And this is again from the Nanaimo Hospital Foundation. This is myself touring a visitor of ours in our Nanaimo, in our hospital, in our ICU, in Nanaimo Hospital. Okay. All right. So done for myself, like presenting like our credentials. Moving on now. So the biggest question is how to become a registered nurse here in Canada. That is the biggest question I know that you guys have. And unfortunately, there is no direct answer to this one. I mean, like, there is no direct way for you guys to come here and get a work permit and work as a registered nurse. There are some things that you have to do first, right, in order to become a registered nurse here in Canada. And we are here, Roman and Associates and Stenberg College is here to help you land here in Canada as a registered nurse. So there's two options, okay? So of course, we want to be transparent to you guys. So the first option is the not so easy version. And the reason why I say this is because there's a lot of steps that you have to undertake. And even if you have completed all of the steps, it doesn't guarantee that you will be ending up living here in Canada as a registered nurse. So usually, or typically, what you'll have to do is first take your IELTS, right? Once you have taken your IELTS, then you register for your NNAS, or the National Nursing Assessment Service. So with this one, this is it's a credential body wherein this company looks at your credentials, right, and compares it with the Canadian nursing education system and see what you are lacking or is there any gaps. Then you'll have to take the IELTS again. And the reason being is that in order to proceed to the next step, to the number four step, you need to have a valid IELTS. I know you have taken your IELTS before the NNAS, but chances are once you have completed and got your result from NNAS, it has been 2 years. So that means before you can proceed to the number four step, you'll have to retake your IELTS. And the number four step is the Nursing Competency Assessment Service, or the NCAS. Okay, so this is an exam, and it's a two-part exam. First one is the computer-based assessment, right? Based on what's the nursing theory, your knowledge around nursing. And the next one is the simulated lab or oral assessment. Okay, when we say the simulated lab or oral assessment, this is if you go back to your nursing school, right, on your nursing when you were still in college studying nursing. Let's say Monday, Tuesday would be your theory days. Let's say how to do a head-to-toe assessment, right? On Thursday or Friday, it would be your return demonstration. It is the same thing, right? Simulated lab would be now you go into a lab and do your head-to-toe assessment. And while you're performing your head-to-toe assessment, there will be a panel that would be asking you questions along the way. So that is a whole day simulated lab. Once you have completed that one, then based on your NNAS and how you perform in your NCAS or NCAS, the college, or back home in the Philippines, it would be PRC, but here we call it college. So the college would now determine what are the courses that you need to take before you challenge the exam, before you take the board exam. And they call that one transitional coursework. Okay, so it could be one course that you'll be taking for 6 months. It could be 2 courses, 3 courses, 4 courses in the next, that is in a span of 1 year, 2 years. Or worst comes to worst, they might say, unfortunately, you have to retake the entire nursing. Okay, even though you have completed your 4 years of nursing, based on the NNAS and the NCAS, they might say, unfortunately, you have to take the entire nursing course again. And you can only take those courses in Kwantlen University, which is here in Langley, or in TRU, or Thompson's Rivers University in Kamloops. Once you have completed that one, then you can register now to take your NCLEX or your board exam. After which, then you have to search for your full-time employment. It looks easy, but it is complex in a way that for the step number 4, the simulated lab and oral assessment, you'll have to be here in Canada for that one. Okay, so you have to apply for a visit visa. Come here, take the simulated lab and oral assessment, and then go back home to wait for the result. Once you have the result and say, okay, you have to take this course, then you have now to apply for a study permit to take a course or courses or the 4-year course. Once you have completed that one, then you go back home again and register for your NCLEX, and then search for your full-time employment, right? And again, it is not a guarantee that you'll be able to find a full-time employment, knowing that you probably will be in your home country. Okay, so what we are proposing or suggesting would be our option 2, which is we think it is the fast and easy way to come to Canada and be a registered nurse and end up to be an RN. Okay, so this would be with Stenberg College plus Roman and Associates. This will result to you living in Canada as an immigrant, as an RN, working as an RN. Okay, so it would be first, we'll go ahead and apply for your study permit for a postgraduate diploma in Canadian nursing right at the get-go, right? Then while you are in school, later on in your program, during your co-op or your paid practicum, you will be applying for your permanent residency via the provincial nominee program or the PNP. Okay, and this is the fastest and easiest way. And Mom Janica later on will show you, will inform you on the advantages on coming here on a study permit and studying the postgraduate diploma in Canadian nursing. Okay. So why come to Canada? What's the wage really here in Canada when it comes to the RN? Okay, so right now here in BC, British Columbia, we have a union. It's called BC Nurses Union. So on your first year as a new graduate, as a new nurse, your hourly rate would be $35.53. If you've been nursing for 5 years, then your hourly rate would be $41. If you have been nursing, if you have 9 years of nursing experience, then your wage would be $46.65. Okay. You see, I know you can see a level 1, level 2, that is LPN or licensed practical nurse. We won't be talking about that one. Level 4, 5, and 6, these are your supervisory roles. So you have your head nurse, you have your, and then above your head nurse, there's a clinical coordinator. So these are their wage as well. Okay. All right. So 35.53, how much is that one really? It looks small. Okay. So let's do a sample wage computation. So $35.53 times 40 hours per week, that would give you $1,000,421. Okay. Now in 4 weeks or in a month, that would give you 5,600. In a year, right? 52 weeks in a year, that would give you 73,000, close to $74,000 per year. And that is only, this is only first year, right? So entry-level nursing. But how much is it? How much is 73,000 in Philippine peso? So right now, if we convert this one to 35 pesos per dollar, this one would give you 2.5 million pesos. Okay. So my question to you as registered nurses back home in the Philippines, after probably, let's say, working for 5-10 years, do you think you will be earning close to 2.5 billion pesos? And I think the answer to that one would be a no. And this is even with you guys working hours, right? Number of hours and looking after more than, let's say, more than 10, 15 patients per shift. I don't think you guys will be earning close to 2.5 million. Here in BC or entire Canada, there is a ratio, nurse to patient ratio. So right now, with this 35.53, the nurse to patient ratio would be 1:4, 1:5, or probably 1:6. 6 would be the most, or 7, right? More than that one, we do request for more nurses to come in to help us out, right? So in terms of, this is, aside from a good wage, you also have a good nurse to patient ratio. Okay. All right. So what are the advantages in joining with us, with Roman Associates and Stenberg College? So first is our reasonable sorry, this is a typo, administration fee. And next advantage is the professional or the consultant's fee is waived. So normally we have of course, we have a professional fee for doing your study permit application and representing you to to IRCC. With that one, we are, because of, just for this webinar, we are waiving the consultant's fee. All right. And also, if you will be bringing your spouse with you or dependents, there won't be any additional professional fee for that one as well. So that is waived as well. The other good thing is that you don't need to have a IELTS in order to get your admission to Stenberg, right? So Stenberg College can waive your IELTS, the need for IELTS, and Miss Janica would explain more about that one later on. Job security as an RN post-course. There are a lot of nursing vacancies across British Columbia, across Canada. So there won't be any problem with you landing a job as an RN, right? And of course, there will be ongoing support from Stenberg College and our team from Roman and Associates. Okay. So once again, Stenberg College with Roman and Associates, this would give you a pathway to come to Canada and immigrate as an RN. With this, I will go ahead and pass on the baton to Miss Jenica. Ma'am Jenica.
Hello, good morning. Hi, I can't turn my video on for some reason. Okay, anyway, hello everyone. My name is Jenica Leserio. I wish I could turn my video on din, pero I think there's a problem. Anyway, my name is Jenica Leserio, and I'm the Director for International Admissions and Recruitment for South Asia at Stenberg College. And I am based here in the Philippines. So unlike Sir Sel, who's in Canada, I am here in the Philippines. Maulan ngayong umaga. And I am working from home. So let me share. Maraming na-share na information sa inyo si Sir Israel. So for now, I would like to share the information about our institution and how we can help you um, get your license as a registered nurse and eventually work in Canada. Okay. Sir Israel, I think I need to be placed as like a panelist or something. I cannot share my screen.
Okay. Yep. Let me just.
So for those of you who are attending this morning, you already did the first step by listening to this webinar. So I hope that you stay up until the end. We have a lot to share with you. Okay, let me just see if I can share my screen now. Oh, hello! Yan! Hello, everyone. Okay, sige, share ko lang tong screen ko. Alright. So what I'm going to do first is to show you a very quick introductory video so that you have an idea who Stenberg College is and who our students are. So please enjoy this short video. Okay, so there you go. That's our introductory video. I'm going to skip some of these slides in my presentation. So we'll focus more on who we are and what the program is about. Okay, so Sir Israel already discussed with you the process on how you can become a registered nurse in Canada. So the licensing process is already given to you. Now, who are we? Who's Stenberg College? So Stenberg College is a private post-secondary college that was founded back in 1990 by Mary Jane Stenberg. And we were originally built as a medical college. Okay, so the first few programs that we really delivered were the nursing programs. And we've been very successful with the outcome of our nursing programs that after just about 3 5 years, we were acquired by an education company called Tech Global. So Tech Global, we have a sister school that's Center for Arts and Technology. So with that school, that's more focused on arts, technology, business, and Stenberg College remained to be a medical college. Being a medical college providing education for over 30 years, we were able to extend into other program deliveries, other industries such as education. We have programs in business and in human services. Now, our location is in British Columbia. So we're in Surrey. So Surrey is a suburb of Vancouver. We're just about 40-minute train ride away from Vancouver downtown. And our campus location is right in front of the Central SkyTrain station. There are bus stops in front as well. So it's a very accessible location for the students. Now, I always say that a lot of the students kasi that I encounter, they normally say, it's, expensive to live in Vancouver. Which is why I tell them, being in Surrey, you actually can save up to 21% compared to, Vancouver. It has a lower cost of living of about 21% if compared to Vancouver. And Vancouver mostly have about the same living cost when it comes to the other major cities in Canada. So Surrey is a really great place for you to start. It is a very diverse city, different races, different cultures. So you don't really feel, like a foreigner when you arrive in Canada. And we have a lot of Filipinos. Some of our staff, not just me, some staff in BC, some of the instructors, and definitely some of the instructors here in this program are Filipinos. Okay. So one thing about Stanford College, and that's something that we're really proud of, is we have a very strong employer and industry relationship. This affects our students' employability and the outcome, after they graduate, if they get employed or not. So this plays a huge role in the student's career, and I'll tell you more about that later on. And we also have online learning available. Now, when you become part of Stanberg College, um, we ensure that you are successful. And we're not just talking about success in terms of academics. At Stanford College, we really make sure or we think ahead about your career, about your future, plans, especially if you're an international student who would like to stay in Canada. So we want you to be academically successful. We want you to be career successful. And of course, if you plan to do permanent residency in the future, if that's something that you plan to do in the future, that you are supported still by our college. So when you become part of Stenberg College, you'll be enjoying a lot of services. There's a lot of support that will be given to you, one of which is your student services. So we call them student success coordinators. They are the very first team that you'll be speaking with when you arrive in Canada. So they'll take care of your, SIN, they'll take care of your medical coverage, your orientation. So the first few steps before you start your program. And during your program, they will still be communicating with you because we want to make sure that you adapt well when you start with the program. Next, we have career services. So there's a lot included in this. We usually have like employer reach out, or we direct you to different employers, but we also train you. So we train you in terms of creating proper resumes, CVs, doing simulations so that you can ace your interviews, because those are lifelong skills that we believe you should have, even if you're not with Stenberg College anymore when you graduate. So those are some, workshops that will be given to you. We also have academic support. So as an international student, we understand there may be some, support that you need in terms of adapting academically. So let me give you an example. So here in the Philippines, we usually go back in college, if as I remember it, we usually have about maybe four subjects in a day. We go to school about 4 or 5 times a week. We have on average four subjects in a day, right? And we have to transition our learning minds from one subject to another, every after a couple of hours, right? And you carry all these books. Now you will encounter, when you study with us, you will encounter focused learning. And focused learning simply means that we will complete one subject first before we move forward to the next. So that is something that's not common to us. It's something that is not normally practiced here. So some of the students, if they need some adjustments or they need to adapt to that, then the academic support will be there. There will be people guiding you how to do it, how, suggesting better study schedules for you, or simply you need a one-on-one session or additional workshop. We have free language workshops. So those types of support will be given to you, again, to ensure that you're academically successful. Okay, so we have a lot of partners, and again, Roman and Associates is one of our partners, and they will definitely help you in terms of answering your questions when it comes to visas, processing your visas, even while you're here in the Philippines and when you are already in Canada. So that's a very good thing about Roman and Associates. You will have those access regardless whether you're here or you're already in Canada. So you will definitely get that support. And we communicate with we facilitate the communication if you need us to do that, okay, when you're already our student. We also have co-op practicum and job placement support. So for those of you who are not aware, co-op means cooperative work experience. So this is when we place you with an employer and you'll be practicing what you've learned. So it's like internship, but better because during your co-op period, you will be working about 20 hours per week. Okay, so you have to fulfill X number of hours depending on the program that you're in. And the best thing about that is while you're practicing what you've learned, you're actually getting paid. You're getting paid as per the industry rate. So we have co-op partners, we have agreements where in place wherein our students get proper payment for their cooperative work experience. And lastly, at Stenberg College, just to be clear, we do not have a dorm on campus. So that's something, your accommodation is something that you need to take care of prior arriving in Canada. However, if you need our assistance in that term, we definitely can. We have partner homestays. So homestay is when a family would you'd be living with a family. Probably if you want to do that long term, that's fine, or short term if you just want to get your, get your footing, then that's fine as well. Or some students, they would like to be introduced to their future classmates, and that allows them to discuss, future accommodation sharing. So that's something that we can facilitate if you need us to do that. Okay, so now that you know who Stenberg College is, let's move forward to the next portion, becoming a registered nurse or a licensed practical nurse in Canada. So this has already been discussed with you by Sir Israel earlier, but just to refresh your memory, okay, if you are a registered nurse who's watching this, or you're just about to get your registration here in the Philippines, or if you want to become a registered nurse in Canada and you've studied here in the Philippines, all of you, you are called IENs. Okay, you are an internationally educated nurse. And being an internationally educated nurse, you will have to go through a certain process in gaining your registration to practice in Canada. Now, a few things that I think is important to mention is that here in the Philippines, we only have one designation, registered nurse. But when you get to Canada, you will understand that there are different designations of nurses. So there's your psychiatric nurse, there's registered nurse, there's your licensed practical nurse. And what you need to know here is that the difference normally is, well, aside from the salary, would be the scope of work and the level of competency required for each role. Okay, but they all function as a nurse. Now, the program that I'll be discussing with you will allow you access to become a registered nurse or a licensed practical nurse. So, as mentioned earlier by Sir Israel, the process basically goes as this: you have to apply to the National Nursing Assessment Service. Of course, you need to comply with all of the requirements there, submitting all of your requirements. And basically, the NNAS just simply collects your documents and they will give you an initial assessment of your profile. You then have to register to the province because, unlike here in the Philippines, where we only have PRC, in Canada, the regulatory body is per province. So in our case, it's BCCNM, British College, British Columbia College of Nurses and Midwives. So you have to be registered to that. You have to go through a competence assessment, which basically is a three-part exam, okay, to show your competency level. And when that gets assessed, sabi nga ni Sir Israel, you can be recommended to take additional studies depending on your, profile assessment. And you can get these studies from Kwantlen Polytechnic and Thompson Rivers. Now, I wanted to refresh that because I wanted to highlight that we are also in partnership with Thompson Rivers University. Now, something that you need to know when you're recommended additional studies, or we call that transitional education or transitional coursework, when you're recommended to do that, you also need to, of course, meet the entry requirements of KPU and TRU. And those entry requirements are not so friendly when it comes to student visa holders. Like, for example, KPU, they only accept permanent residents. Okay, at TRU, they accept if you have 1 year work experience in Canada. Again, if you are a student visa holder, that might be tough to meet, right? But good news for you, because if you study with Stenberg College, we have always been in partnership with Thompson Rivers University. And so, if you are coming from Stenberg College, Thompson Rivers University will accept your application regardless if you have 1 year or less than 1 year of work experience in Canada. So basically, what happens is they waive that entry requirement for Stenberg College students. Therefore, it gives you the opportunity to actually enroll yourself to those additional transitional coursework to complete the whole licensing process. Okay, so not everyone has that partnership, and so they don't really have, an immediate access to the RN transitional coursework. Yung process nila napaprolong. Okay, with us, because we're already in partners with TRU, it's going to be very easy for you to access the RN transitional coursework. And once you're done with that, you pass your licensure, then you are now eligible to practice in Canada. Now, let's talk about this program. What is this program called? Postgraduate Diploma in Canadian Nursing. So I am going to refer to it as PIDGEN because it's such a long name. So just to shorten it a bit, okay, PIDGEN program. I'm gonna skip the video here. I'll go straight to the information. So why study Pigeon program with co-op? Again, this is with co-op. So with this program, we designed, because we've been a school that's been delivering nursing programs for over 30 years. We know what we do, but we identified that there is a bit of a gap when it comes to IENs, because IENs have trouble, or they have to go through the licensing process while they're studying, right? So what we did, we created a program that will allow you to study Canadian healthcare context and allow you to also process the licensing while you're doing it. Okay, let me just turn my video off for a bit while I charge my laptop. Okay, so with this program, this is a 2-year program. Okay, so you'll study for 2 years, but the academic part of that is just around 1 year and 1 month. So you have an 11 months of paid co-op. Okay, that's a very long time for a co-op. So simply you're parang internship. Simply you're with an employer and you're working. Okay, so basically that's what's going to happen while you're under co-op. And then we normally have 4 intakes per year. Okay, and then for this year, if you still want to join us, our September intake is still open. Now, there are 2 deliveries available for you for September. And this is a dual qualification. So let me explain how that happens. This is how we deliver the program. So first, now this stage 0, English for academic purpose, this is actually just an optional stage. Okay, optional because not everyone wants to go through English intensive program. And if you don't really need it, then there is really no need for you to go through English for academic purpose. Now, the very first stage of the program really is that you will learn how to become a healthcare assistant. Now, healthcare assistants, or iba-iba lang yung terms dyan. Healthcare assistant, healthcare aide, some call them caregiver, personal support worker. Now, this is your very first stage to enter into the medical industry. Okay. And as a healthcare assistant, we actually have a standalone program for this. But what we did, we had a fast track version of HCA and we embedded it into the Pigeon program. So for the first 5 months, that's what you'll study. After 5 months, there are no more exams. We will facilitate your registration and you will become a registered healthcare aide. Now, what's the advantage? Why did we put that there? If you are studying and you already have a valid designation after 5 months, as a registered healthcare aide, you will be able to maximize your earning potential. How? Because normally, if you are an international student and you are working part-time, so let's say you're working at a base salary of $15 per hour, as an HCA, on average, HCAs earn around $23 an hour. Okay, so that's a huge jump from 15 to $23 an hour. So that is a very good gig for your part-time job, right? So that's one, it maximizes your earning potential. Second, you will already be immersed into the medical industry. And the program will now be easier for you to understand because you're living it. There is a part of the program where we study Canadian healthcare context. And if you're already there doing your part time work as an HCA exposed to the medical industry in Canada, then it is, easier for you to understand as you are living being in the medical industry, right? Another advantage for you is that you will be able to build your connections already. Just 5 months into the program, and you're already in the medical industry, you can build your network, your connections. And I'm telling you, and you can talk to a lot of international students, these connections will definitely help you in your future when it comes to employment. Okay. And lastly, it is an advantage for you to be a registered HCA in the beginning because this is a valid designation. Okay. No matter what happens to your RN designation, to the program, matapos mo lang yung 5 months, you have a valid designation, you're a registered HCA, you can accept a work sponsorship as an HCA, you can be a permanent resident as an HCA. So dun pa lang, you already have all of these opportunities. Okay? Just 5 months in. Okay, so let's say you've completed the first 5 months, you've become a registered healthcare aide. What's next with the program? We will be placing you into your first co-op. Okay, so again, no need for you to look for an employer. We have employers for the co-op. We place you there, you go through the co-op for 10 weeks, and then we study nursing in a Canadian healthcare context. Right after that, at the end of the program, you will have another co-op. So you might ask, Janica, nasan dito yung licensing ko for as an RN? Actually, that licensing happens when you start the program. So we're doing it simultaneously. While you're studying with us, we will facilitate and we will start the registration. Okay, so we will start the NNAS application, everything that you need. Which means this program also includes the review and preparation for your IELTS and CELBAN. Why two? Because when you apply to NNAS or the National Nursing Assessment Service, they only accept two types of English proficiency, which are IELTS and CELBAN. And what we find from our students is that they excel in CELBAN because they're more comfortable because it uses medical terminologies. So if you have like higher results for CELBAN, then that's what we'll use for your NNAS application. Next, we've provided the review, preparation, and the training for your NCAS competence assessment. So, ano nga ba ulit yung NCAS? NCAS is your competence assessment. Remember, you'll have to go through an exam. So that exam that you have to go through, it identifies your competency level. Okay? So it's not a pass or fail exam. It's part of the licensing process. And when you go through the NCAS, it's very important that you are well prepared. Okay, why? Because you can only take the NCAS competence assessment once. Hindi niyo siya pwedeng ulitin. You can only do it once in your lifetime. And so, you have to make sure that you gain very good results out of that NCAS. So we provide the training for our students. Our instructors will not allow you to take that exam unless you're ready. Okay, and your instructors here will be IENs because they already went through the whole process. They know what to expect, and that's what they will teach you. What we have on our campuses and our labs are going to be the same equipment that you'll be using when you do the competence exam. And lastly, for students, they get to choose what pathway they want to take if they want to become a registered nurse or a licensed practical nurse. So we provide a review and preparation for the licensure exam for both. So whatever is your preference, then you are provided with a review and preparation for that. Now, I mentioned earlier we deliver this program. There are two deliveries for this program. So the one that I mentioned to you is when we do it face to face, right? Now, because of what happened with the pandemic and all, for this year, we started the program online, and we're going to have another online delivery in September. So we have the face to face still in September, and then an online version also. So with the online version, basically, we created this so that students can already start their studies even without the student visa. And a lot of the students, I were actually surprised, a lot of the students, they want to start their studies and then they process their student visas, which actually works better for them, and that might be you. So if you think that you want to start a program online first and then eventually transition to Canada after, then this would be for you. We call it Foundations in Canadian Nursing plus Vision. So basically, what's going to happen is you're going to study online for the first 6 months. Okay, for the first 6 months, all online here in your home country, and then the next part will be a face to face. That means you still need to travel to Canada and you still need to complete the whole 2 years. So September intake would be September 20. Total duration for this is still the same. It's still going to be 2 years. You will still have 11 months of paid co-op. Now, the live classes are they're going to happen every day, Monday to Friday, at 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. That's 3 hours of live class. You might ask why it's late. That's together with our Dubai classes, India classes. So your classmates would be all over the world. It's not just Filipinos. Okay. Um, and then you have an additional 2 hours if you want to just do instructor consultation. That would be fine. And this works well, especially if you are working. And just to let you know, we started this January intake and March intake. We have online students. So they're about to finish. They're about to finish this July, and they will transition face to face in October. And they've enjoyed it so far. We're going to release some videos for you very, very soon about, their experience being online students. So that would be exciting stuff. So watch out for that. Now, when you start online, what are the benefits? Okay, first, of course, the foundation part alone, the 6 months, you will already get a certificate out of that. So when you do online, you will get one certificate for your foundations. You will get a diploma, postgraduate diploma, and you will also get a diploma as an HCA. So three qualifications. You will be able to reduce your overseas living expenses by 6 months. Of course, you're still spending peso, you don't have to spend dollars, and and you're already starting your Canadian qualification. Now, when you start online, we also start the licensing process. Okay, we don't delay it. It's actually easier to do it while you're here in your home country because there is a possibility that you have to do a follow up with like PRC or your old school. And if that is the case, it's easier to do a follow up when you're in country, right? This is also an advantage for your student visa application because you're already studying. You already started. You're a genuine student. We also provide our students with additional documentation for their student visa application, like their unofficial transcript, so that the visa officer can see that you actually already started your studies. We also give out like letter of support so that the visa officer can see that, oh, okay, this is a genuine student. And it has been really successful, let me tell you. The students that we have for online who already lodged for their visas and have received results, we have at the moment 100% approval rate. We do not have anyone who has been refused a visa for those who started online. So that is a good thing. Okay, we have a discount also if you start online. that would be 6,500 Canadian dollars, and it's an outright discount. Okay, so I'll tell you more about that later on. And the rest of the tuition fee, they will be paid per installment. And you can also start the online without a student visa. Okay, you can start online in September and then lodge your student visa application afterwards, because the face to face will happen in April 2022. So that's when we should have the visa. Okay, so there shouldn't be any rush or pressure for you to have your visa when you start online. So again, the program outcome, you'll definitely be an HCA. You can be an LPN or you can be an RN. Okay, let me skip this. So what are the entry requirements if you're now ready to enroll? What do you need to have? So you have to be a bachelor's degree in nursing graduate. Okay, we're quite specific with what we're looking for in this program. So BSN, you have to be a registered nurse. Okay, this is only for registered nurses. Also, you're a registered nurse, but we also need you to have an experience. Now, the work experience that we're looking for, it's not limited to hospital work. Okay, if you are a private duty nurse, or maybe you're a clinic nurse, school nurse, company nurse, as long as your work requires you to be a registered nurse, and as long as it is indicated in your certificate of employment that you're a registered nurse, then it will be accepted. So it should be minimum of 2 years full-time paid work in the past 10 years. It can be multiple employers, that's fine. But out of the 2 years, we're also looking for minimum of 900 hours or about 6-8 months within the past 5 years. Now you might ask, why are we way specific about this? Because this program has a pathway to permanent residency. And that 2 years will give us enough points for you to enter Express Entry BCPNP. Now, why are we looking for 900 hours within the past 5 years? It's for your assessment for the National Nursing Assessment Service, because NNAS will only consider your work experience as a registered nurse in the past 5 years, and they only look at a minimum of 900 hours. So that has something to do with assessment for you, so that we can reduce the possible transitional coursework that you need to do. Okay. Now, I know it may not be easy to remember this. So what I suggest is you submit your CV or resume to Roman and Associates, and they will give you, they will communicate with me so that we can give you a free assessment, whether you qualify for the program or not. Now, a lot of you will ask, kailangan po ba ng IELTS dito? English proficiency. Okay, so, yes, yes. If you are targeting, okay, to become a nurse anywhere, not just in Canada, in Australia, in UK, wherever, you will definitely go through an English test, okay? There's no escaping it. There's just really no way. Why? Because this is a regulated profession. Okay, regulated profession, you have to report to a regulatory body. And of course, if you're practicing in an English speaking country, you have to show your competency in that language. So, what we can do though, okay, if you already have one, let's say you've taken your IELTS before, even if it's general or academic, we will accept 6.0 overall, no band lower than 5.5. Okay, even if it's cell band, that's fine. But we can also waive your IELTS for entry into the program. Okay, why do we do that? Because we can, as an institution, okay, we can waive it as long as you can provide us with a proof of your certificate of English as a medium of instruction. You can get that from your old school. So we can waive your IELTS to enter the program. But as I've said, because you will be a nurse, a registered nurse in an English speaking country, you will still eventually need to do IELTS. So if you join our face-to-face program, then you can take your general IELTS when you arrive in Canada. That's fine. Or it's up to you whether you want to do it here before you travel to Canada. Now, for those of you who will start a program online, we actually facilitate and schedule the general IELTS while you're doing your online classes. Okay. So again, it's just really general that we're looking for in the beginning at 6.0 overall. Okay. And there is no pressure for you to take IELTS to enter our program because we can waive it as part of the entry requirements. Okay. So if you want to know more, again, please do a one-on-one consultation with Roman and Associates. Now, I just want to cover this part because I mentioned that we are a private institution. And as a private institution, you will not be eligible for a postgraduate work permit or PGWP. Now, that's something that I always get asked about. We're not afraid that you won't qualify for a PGWP. Why? Because PGWP, it's such a great option, and I'm not gonna lie, it really is a real great option for students, especially for students who does not have an essential profession. Okay, because they will need that time, they will need like additional 1 3 years, they have to look for their work sponsor, right? Now with us, because we're a private institution and we have a really strong employer and industry relationship, we don't need the PGWP. Our students, once they accept a work sponsorship, especially as an RN, they can get um, entry into these immigration pathways. Okay, so there is no need for them to do additional 1 year, 2 years, 3 years just to get a Canadian work experience points because their points are already enough to enter these immigration pathways. What they just need is work sponsorship. Now you might ask, Shanika, how can I get a work sponsorship? Now we have partner employers. Aside from Roman and Associates, and I'm confident that Sir Israel will be able to assist you when it comes to this, to the employment and all of that. We've also recently just acquired partnership wherein hospitals are, because there is a lot of demand, to be honest, hospitals are listing down open positions and they're asking for our graduates because they're ready for work sponsorship to give to our students. So our students actually get work sponsorship from our employer partners, and sometimes our co-op partners, because if they do well during their co-op, sometimes what happens is they get the work sponsorship from there. Now, um, our employment outcome here is 98%, but that includes business students. So if you remove business students there, we have 100% with the employment rate when it comes to nursing and healthcare assistants. So with the 2% missing there, that's just for the business students because they don't normally get employed immediately. They normally go for further studies. That's the normal pathway for our business students. Anyway, let's just look at the worst possible scenario. What if you do not get a work offer or a work sponsorship? What's going to happen? Will you be sent home because we're a private school? The answer there is no. Okay, if you want a stay back, we have a stay back option for you. So Stenberg College is prepared for these instances, and if in the event that you do not get a work sponsorship or you do not get absorbed by our co-op partners, we can give you a temporary work visa under LMIA, and while you're there in that temporary work visa, we will pursue long-term work sponsorship for you. To be honest, we haven't used that because there is no need for us. Our students really do get the employment, but at least it's there if there is a need for us to step in. So we really ensure our students, if they want to stay and they want a career in Canada, we really do step in to make sure that that happens. So here's the tuition fee. Okay, so for this program, it's really affordable. It's around 11,000 per year. Okay, so the total is 21,300. That's for the full duration already. And that full duration already includes like your student fees, finance fees, assessment fees, equipment use, co-op fees, and your books are already included. So there's no more add-on to that. Initial deposit, if we do the face-to-face, is 5,150 CAD. Now, if you do the online delivery, remember we have a discount. So if you do the online delivery, instead of paying 21,000 for the full program, you're just paying around 15. And that's for the 2 years. Why? Because the initial deposit for online is about 8,100. Will give you 6,500 Canadian dollars outright discount. That means you can start the program with just 1,600 CAD or about 60,000 pesos. So you start online, you paid 60,000 pesos, you're studying online for 6 months. The rest of the balance, they're not going to be due until you're there in Canada. The same goes for the face-to-face. The rest of the balance, they're not due until you are in Canada. And when you're in Canada, it's per installment basis. We have some flexibility on that as well. If you need us to move, the dates, or you have a preferred payment plan, we can do that for you. So take advantage of this discount because it's for limited slots only. So the admission process, just go and talk to Roman and Associates, and we will process your application. But just to give you an idea how quick this process goes is that when Roman and Associates submit your application to us and we see you're fit, there are no missing documents, everything's complete, we give a letter of offer within 24 to 48 hours, except for weekends. Okay, just so you're aware. So once you have a letter offer, you can already secure your slot by paying the initial deposit. Again, if it's face-to-face only, it's 5,150 CAD, or if it's online version, it's just 1,600 CAD. And once you make that payment, once it's cleared, then we will give you your enrollment documents. That just means you're enrolled into the program in our system. And once you get your enrollment documents, just sign them, send them back to us, and we'll give you the letter of acceptance. Now, that is what you'll use, and Roman and Associates will use for your student visa application. Lastly, I know there's a lot that I already discussed, but just as a last bit, okay, we're an approved DLI. We have an approved COVID-19 readiness plan. So you definitely can travel because some students are asking, is the border open? Yes, it is for approved DLIs. You definitely can travel. So some of our students have been traveling because they just recently received their grants. So in addition to this, we help our students out. We can arrange airport pickup and transfer if your hotel isn't going to do that for you. And during your 14-day quarantine, we actually provide for your meals. So it can be through groceries or food stubs. We make sure that that is covered so that you can adjust and help you out while you're on your adjustment period. So that is it, guys. Thank you very much for listening. And if you happen to be on Facebook, we would really appreciate if you visit our page, Stenberg College, or Stenberg College-Philippines, and hit like and follow. So thank you, Sir Israel. Thank you very much. Thank you. I think we can now proceed to the next part of the presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mom Jenica. So yeah, so that is very informative indeed. I'm not sure why I'm showing two Roman and Associates and yeah, but on my screen right now. But yeah, okay. So for everyone, we have 20, there's more than 20 attendees. If you have any questions, this is the time to go ahead and type in your questions. And while you guys are typing in your questions, you can type it in on the chat box or in the Q&A for sure. While you're thinking your questions, in terms of the, I know COVID-19, I think by the time you guys come here, there'll be different guideline, different policy. There might not be a 14-day quarantine anymore. I think right now what we have heard, what I've heard is that vaccine and then PCR, and then once you get here, you get another test, and then you self-isolate while waiting for the test. Once you got your negative result, then you're free to go. So no need for that 14-day quarantines. And I think later on after that one, I mean, like things will change more, and then it will be open up more. So yeah, so that's good because yeah, let's say here in where I am right now, Vancouver Island, we don't have any positive COVID in our hospital. So yeah, so there you go.
That's good news.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're actually expecting for fall intake for that hotel protocol to be lifted, for the 14-day quarantine to be lifted. But it is just good to prepare for such events. If in case it's not lifted yet, at least we have the steps in place to help the students out and transition to Canada.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but we're expecting the same. Yeah.
Sounds good. So yeah, and then just to touch on the in terms of the employment, I know Ma'am Jenica did say that Stenberg is a private college, but yeah, don't fear in terms of getting employed, or yeah, because you will definitely be employed, and that's the reason for the PGWP, or the postgraduate work permit. It's like it's a it's a opportunity for the student to find a job after school, right? So they don't need to leave Canada, and then they have their PGWP to find work. For Stenberg College, you don't need that time because even before graduating, you will already have a job. So you don't need that PGWP. And as I've said earlier, I am a licensed, aside from my being a consultant, I'm also a registered nurse. So my other hat really is I'm a nurse manager here in the hospital, and here in Nanaimo Hospital, and I'm in touch closely with Stenberg in terms of, hey, when is the next cohort coming out from school, right? Because we are in need of nurses, so we are also in competition with the other hospitals, and I'm hoping that I'll get more students, right? International students from Stenberg to be placed here in our hospital. So yeah, so it's a employee market at the moment and for the years to come. So don't fear on missing out on any job opportunity.
Yes. And Sir Israel, just to add to that, I think it's important for them to know also. We actually have like LMIAs available this year that were just hanging and was refused by some students because there's just way too much opportunities that they get to choose where to go. So we have several LMIAs, and it's really the students just choosing which one they want to accept. And because of the pandemic last year, the graduation, the due dates, they all got moved. So at the time we had a lot of work sponsorships available, but there were no students who graduated because we had to move the dates. So that's something that I think you need to know if you're thinking about, okay, employment. It is there. We're actually just waiting for you to study and complete the program.
That's correct. That's correct. Okay. So looking at the Q&A right now, sir, yung face-to-face, which is 21,000 CAD, kailan po mag face-to-face? April 2022 pa din po, or soon as paid po? Thank you.
Okay, I think I can answer that.
Yep.
No. Okay, so if you want a face-to-face, for this year we have a September intake, right? You only need to pay the initial deposit, which is 5,150 Canadian dollars. And then when you arrive in Canada, that's going to be divided into installments. Okay, so that's what's going to happen. Now, in by next year we also have intakes because every year we have four intakes: January, March, June, and September. So if you want to join April, that's fine. You just need to pay initial deposit to secure your slot. Or if you want to join next year, um, for whatever intake, it's the same thing. You just need to pay the initial deposit of 5,150, and then the rest of the balance is paid per installment when you start the actual program. Okay, so that's one. Now, you might be asking about, kasi nakita ko dito April 2022, you might be asking about pag nag-online ka muna and then the rest of the balance is it paid sa April. So pag nag-online ka, you only pay 1,600 and you can already start in September. And then the face-to-face part, yung part 2 niya sa April, no, you don't need to pay the whole 21. You just need, again, it's paid per installment and the remaining balance there is just gonna be around $13 na lang. $13,000 na lang because we discounted you 6,500. So basically, the program is just now around 15K na lang. Hindi na siya 21. So I hope that's clear. We can actually share the breakdown with you guys. If you submit your CV to Roman and Associates, I will be coordinating with them and I'll be sharing the breakdown of those fees if you want to join face to face or you want to join and start the online first.
All
That's
right.
it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question is this program open to only Philippine citizens or is it open to everyone? I'm a fresh BSN graduate. How to get about this? Yes, so this is not just for Filipino citizen, it's for anyone anyone that meets the requirement of the admission criteria for Stenberg, right? So and yeah, you could be any citizen. There you go, citizen of any
Yes.
country in this world.
Yes. And also he mentioned fresh BSN graduate kasi siya. How do I
Yeah.
go about this? So you're not a registered nurse. I'm just assuming you're not registered nurse now. Which means you won't qualify for the post-grad. However, don't fret, because for those of you, which I failed to mention earlier, if you are not a registered nurse, let's say BSN graduate kayo, or you're not even in the medical field, pero you want to become a nurse, we have a pathway for you. So remember I spoke about the healthcare aid part of the program. We actually have a standalone program for that, the Healthcare Assistant Diploma Program. If you don't qualify for the postgrad diploma in Canadian nursing, you will definitely qualify there as an HCA. And that's a shorter program, it's 1 year and 2 months. And it will still have a pathway to becoming a nurse in the future. It will just be longer than usual, pero it will still have that pathway. You can start as an HCA and you can enter that program. We have an intake in October and next year, March. So our qualification there is just year 12 equivalency. So again, if you're non-medical background, or BSN graduate, not a registered nurse, or maybe even an undergraduate pero completed second year of college, you can enter healthcare assistant diploma. So there you go. Thank you.
Okay, I think I'm Jenica. Sorry, I think that's it for our Q&A, and I don't see any questions in our chat box as well. So I think everyone kind of like understood. We were able to explain clearly to them what the program is all about and how to come here to Canada using this pathway. So yeah, uh, I guess, but then for anyone that is after this webinar, after this live webinar, if you guys uh, all of a sudden remember a question that you forgot to ask, do not hesitate to ask the question through our Facebook business page, business page messenger. Just message us, and we'll be happy to answer your questions. And for those people, for those nurses that are really thinking that yes, this is a great program and this is something that I would really want to pursue, please do not hesitate to send your detailed resume to assessment at romancis.ca and just type in the subject line assessment for Stenberg College. And the reason why I were requesting that you write the subject line e-assessment for Stenberg is so that your email doesn't get buried with the other emails that we receive, so that we can prioritize your resume and make to top priority kind of thing, right? Because we want you to be able to get into the September intake if that's what you intend to do. Any other things to add, Mom Jenica, before we call it a night or a day for you guys?
Okay, so again, I just want to say thank you, and everyone. Actually, a lot of you stayed, so thank you very much for that. Please ask your questions. You already did the first step. You joined this webinar, right? So you're already on that stage. You already have the information with you. So we are very happy that you did that, and we can now help you get along and move you to the next step. So do not waste any more time. If this is something that you want to do, I suggest that you do it now, because future is looking better and you do not want to delay this any further. So we hope that we can help you out. We're very excited for your success. And again, thank you very much for joining today. Thank you, Sir Israel, for again inviting Stenberg College. Thank you very much.
Of course, yes. Thank you, Mom Jenica. Thank you, Stenberg, and thank you to everyone that attended the webinar. Again, have a good day. See ya.